Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Larry Fiddler,
Here.
Greg J,
Here.
Gary Bennington,
Here.
Cindy Holland, Rick Deerwester.
Here.
Is there any additions or deletions from the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to make an addition. My name, Greg Dewson. I'd like to talk to you guys about water to my property.
Okay.
I'd like to make an addition. Bob Janelle with McDonald's, looking for a sewer credit due to a water leak we had.
I'm sorry.
Mike McCamey would like removed off of the back page under new business. He doesn't, need to remove him today.
Okay, do I have an approval for the changes of the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adoption of the 2021 budget.
I'll make a motion to approve what we went through on the open meeting last month.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a approval of this. Let's go ahead with a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Approval of minutes from September 8th.
Make a motion. Accept the minutes, September 8th.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Approval of minutes from September 29th.
I'll make a motion for the 29th of September.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We actually had two meetings on September 29th, the executive session meeting. Do I have approval for those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Claims and transfers.
Okay, from the general, $192,304.88.
Yeah, that was a little high, wasn't it? Is there any reason for that?
We're just trying to catch up on things.
Okay.
There's been bills that have been going to different email accounts.
Okay, yes. Okay, do I have approval for the, general fund?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Water?
For the water, $38,538.73.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wastewater?
$93,470.01.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And payroll?
Okay, there is a mistake on the agenda. The payroll number is not correct. That was the total of the payroll without the overtime. So if you look on the back page of the allowance document, I didn't add it. So the correct number is those two numbers added together. The regular payroll, which is on the agenda, $41,906.63, plus the overtime that was paid out, which was $479.45. So the correct number is $42,386.03. It's correct on the allowance docket that's printed out, it's just incorrect on the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll with the amended amount.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Gary and Rick.
Okay, and then the second, Gary's made the motion and Rick was the second.
Okay, Town Marshal?
Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Been busy with teaching Citizens Academy. I gotta make a side note. I got a couple of my recent graduates in the room. I got some of my older graduates here, so thanks. Talked about the importance of participating in the town and things, so thank you. We have had an extremely busy month in September, probably one of the busiest our officers have had. You'll see on the back page, we had 28 arrests last month. A good portion of them were warrants, some drug charges, and some drunk drivers. So, like I said, pretty busy. We're up to right now over 2,198 calls for service to date for the year, with 190 agency assist, over 825 police services to the public, 193 traffic arrests, 626 warnings. We've had we've investigated 50 crashes, and we've had 17 drunk driving arrests. We've served 35 warrants, and right now we have had 72 misdemeanor charges and 47 felony charges, and 32 of those have been drug related. So we continue to work hard, and try to keep the town safe. You know, we've had a couple here recently where we just got a fugitive that was in town, and I've got to commend the town, calls us directly. They're very aware. We share this information, and it actually, the information that was fed to us led to an apprehension of a guy that's been running here in the county on a warrant, a couple warrants over the last few weeks. So kudos to the town for helping us with that. With that being said, we couldn't do what we get done without support of the public and businesses around who stepped up and championed our cause and trying to help, especially in this day and age with budgets and especially after what we've gone through with COVID and such. Tonight I have a couple people here that I want to just introduce, put a public thank you for. One of them, Amanda, if you could come on up here. Seniors Towing here in Greencastle address have donated to the department these external carriers, which are not cheap, and have donated 5 of these, which one of them I'm wearing today, and then this is another one. And once again, we put our ballistic vests inside of here. We can wear them over the top of our uniforms. It's great to have when we're off duty. We carry these in the cars. We can put them on. It's easily identifiable. We're police. All of our equipment and stuff carried on here, which really greatly, especially with little guys like me, it helps out with the back. We don't have as much stuff on the belt. And I want to just publicly, personally thank you, Amanda, and support that you've been on the show for the department. So please thank her. And secondly, we've been pretty well blessed. Ken, why don't you come on up here? Ken Goldman is our Sergeant of the Reserves, in charge of our reserve program, and he also is our Andy Moore in-house rep. So why don't you explain what Andy Moore is doing for the town of Cloverdale?
Well, recently, Mr. Moore purchased several of these AEDs for all his dealerships throughout his 12 stores. So during our conversation about this, I kind of confronted him in reference to our department, and that these are expensive, and not always can dealer or towns afford to buy these for every officer. So during our conversation, I mentioned, would he be willing to sponsor a couple of these AEDs for our department? And he said, no, I'll give you 4. So he gave us 4 of these for our department. So that would put one in almost every one of our police vehicles. If you're not familiar with a defibrillator, if someone's in cardiac arrest, this is a life-saving piece of equipment for them. A lot of times the officers who are out in the car driving may be the first responder when they get the call. So they could be there before maybe the EMTs get there. So it could save somebody's life. Mr. Moore thinks are very important, not only for his dealership, but to support town of Cloverdale and our police department. So we appreciate that. During my conversation with the company who gave these to us, or we purchased, talked with them if they had a program for small towns to help support them, and they did. So Cloverdale's name is on their agenda, and they told me before the end of the year, they would provide 2 more of these for our department. So that'd give them a total of 6 of these. These cost about $2,000 per each one, so you figure $8,000 plus 2. It's pretty expensive stuff, but we're pleased, and I'm pleased to bring all these to the department, and we appreciate it. Mr. Moore, not only giving this to the department, but considering what the town's done for our dealership, all the police cars that you purchased, the trucks and stuff for the town of Cloverdale has been coming through Andy Moore. So believe you me, he recognizes that. And so by him donating back to our department, I think it's just kind of a thank you to what you guys do for us. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you.
So we'll have one of these in every one of our patrol cars, and the training's coming with it, so we'll get all of our officers trained with these devices. So we're looking forward to that. Halloween in Cloverdale is still on, okay? So we're encouraging the kids to come out, maintain, but we wear a mask, right? Okay? One, to maintain the safe social distancing out there and make sure they're taking all the normal protocols, but it'll be from 5 to 8 p.m. on the 31st, Saturday the 31st. And with that being said, one of the things that we're doing, we've got another business organizations come forward and is actually getting several other businesses in the community to do a support the police fundraiser on that particular day, and they're going to have the chili dinner and such. One thing I need to ask the council to make sure that we're okay on, if you'll permit us to block the street out in front of Town Hall here, just the section between Grant and 231. They're selling vendor spaces, booth spaces, and they'll have a variety of different things out there. Some different civic organizations are coming in, and they'll do like a trunk or treat thing for the kids out there. So we'll be doing outside, we'll be all set up for a social distancing type thing. But the proceeds from that whole thing is going to go to our clerk for the police department as police donations. So we're getting that worked out, and there's going to be a number of things that they're going to be raffling off that night. One of them you'll see around the corner. They've got a brand new freezer that they've found somewhere that they're going to use to store the stuff, the food for that day in, and then before the night's up, they're either going to raffle it or auction that off that night. So, so some things, and it's all businesses that are stepping up to help the police department.
Well, you're talking about blocking this road right
Just
here,
a
right?
section right out here.
But being it's on a Saturday, right?
Yes.
You can use that whole parking lot as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, we want to use the
Okay.
parking lot, that
Yeah.
area out there. So we've got a number of our officers will be here and a lot of volunteers that day. So.
Do
Can
we
I
need
get
to
your
make a
permission?
motion, or-
Yeah, if you could.
I can make a motion that we do that, allow them to use the street and parking lot.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's all that I have, for us. I've got communication, if you want me to drive into with the fire chief. The fire chief is gonna start coming back.
Good.
Okay, and, yeah, he'll be coming in here. He's actually on business right now, so he's been communicating with him. He does, wanna know about where we're at on the reimbursement for the COVID stuff. The CARES money, the CARES Act money.
It's my understanding, I met with the trustee, it's my understanding that the CARES money was for the town and the police department, that the fire department had their own.
They've got their own coming.
That was my understanding on that with the trustee.
Could I please ask, I was approached twice this week about the microphones not working, when they watch on TV or wherever, however they do it. And I just wonder, could I ask everybody to speak up a little louder since we don't have any microphones, so the people that are watching can hear what's being said?
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
I noticed you only had 28 arrests last month. Did you take Labor Day off?
Well, we continue, I'll tell you. Yeah, no, nobody took any time off last month, for sure. Levi, has done a phenomenal job. I mean, all of our officers have been really, we actually had a sex offender that had come from another county of northern Indiana, came down and to the hotel, and we had, once again, citizens here who recognized a wanted picture of this individual came to us, came up to Adam and I at lunch, gave us the information, we validated it, confirmed it, went over there, and he's been on the run for a good while, level 4 felon, and we were able to get him arrested. And once again, it's the citizens stepping up and working with law enforcement, so amazing.
Good job.
But that's all I have, and like I said, Chief Shepherd says he will be back in here, and he'll be here next month.
And, would you help the police department with their funding if necessary?
Funding.
CARES Act?
The fire department?
The
Yes.
fire department.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's something we need to discuss. I mean, that's up to you how we spend that money.
Well, I mean, you said they had their own. If they need help filing that, would you,
I can,
Yeah.
yeah.
somebody help them?
Sure.
Okay. If you relay that to,
I will, I'll
Okay.
sure let him know that, yes.
okay. Okay, clerk treasurer?
Okay, I just have a couple things, and it's in your packet. This is new, it did not get sent around electronically ahead of time. I wasn't quite prepared. I'm just basically introducing this to you. So you have, a month to look it over. Feel free to come into my office and, talk to me about it. But this is a reduction of budget appropriation resolution. Basically, it's reducing our budget for 2020. This is something Janet spoke with us about. It's not that we're not spending any more money, it's just that our budget was overshot. We don't need to, we don't need to spend this money,
right.
and it's gonna hurt us next year with our budget if we don't reduce the amount of money that we're not going to spend anyways. So this is just a preliminary, I'm still working with Janet, but this is a preliminary of where I'm looking at cutting. And if you wanna see, like I said, a breakdown even farther of those, in those administrations, the appropriation accounts, I can give you a line by line of what I'm planning on cutting. But I'm just introducing that, and then, it will be on the agenda next month, when Janet helps me finalize, and I want her to look over and make sure, everything is gonna be correct. But initially, we're looking at cutting $75,000 from the general budget, and 100 is the goal from MVH, and so far I've only got it down to 95. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, that's there, for you to look at. And the next thing is the CARES Act, items. We have that money, coming back to us, and so I've just proposed a list for you to look at and think about of how we can utilize all that money and use it, since it is coming back kind of free to us. There's some items on that list in blue, that some things that you have already approved, for us to purchase. Some things were smaller items that were purchased that would qualify to be reimbursed under the CARES Act, and all those are highlighted in blue. And there's some other things, and I just entitled this a wish list. I tried to come up with some things that the town needed, that we could get paid for. And a couple of these are actually on farther down in the agenda. One of them is a sound system for here, new microphones, speakers, and also included with that is a video system, so that we would no longer have to be holding phones, that would be automatically set up in the system it would be set up to go to Facebook Live, and they're tied into the sound system so people could hear on
We have
Facebook
some
Live.
estimates coming up.
Yes, and that's on further in the agenda. One item that I would like to bring up to you today is the third item on that list, and it's tablets and protective cases for the council members. I would like to purchase a tablet for each of you with a case that would eliminate all this paper, for every meeting. What we'd do is we'd set it up, and it'd have a folder, and we'd title it for the council meeting, and ahead of time I would drop all this information as things come up during the month. I would drop all that information into the folder for you, and you could view that electronically and have access to that, and then bring it to the meetings with you. And it, like I said, it eliminates all this, all the paper, and then it eliminates you. And then if you need to refer back to something, it's right there on your tablet. We have a new, a new folder for every meeting.
And hopefully, we fix the server as well, it can tie into that too, right? Upload from the tablet, back and forth, I mean.
I'm not sure about
Yeah.
that. I
You
don't-
should be able to do that.
Short answer is yes.
Yeah.
Paper's a big item too, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It takes a lot of, not only is it paper, it's copying, and it's a lot of work. spending to get everything
Right.
organized, yeah. So it would save us a lot of money, and anyways, I think this is a good way we could get it paid for. So, I would ask if we could, if you guys were willing, if we could try to get something, so we could have it set for the next meeting.
Yeah, we need to make a motion now.
Well, I would just, what are you wanting them to, I guess, to put this on the agenda for the next meeting, or just to? Go ahead,
Permission to purchase it, so we can.
I would say let's
purchase
get
it.
pricing
Okay.
on the tablets, get a real price.
I think you already have that though, is that included in the indie sound and?
No, this is something different. This
Okay.
is, this is strictly a tablet for each council
I
member
see.
for information, for sharing information. So, I guess just permission if you want it, but you want better pricing.
Yes.
Okay. Would one of you be willing? I don't know a whole lot about electronics, so I don't know like what's a good brand and all that. I didn't know if one of you would be willing, if you could get the information. I mean, I can order it.
Great. Prime Day right now too, so if you're gonna ask me, that's a good deal.
Daniel and I'll work on that.
Or
Okay.
you help me.
Okay, just the other thing on there, website, and that's gonna be coming up later on the agenda as well, and some of those things. Yeah, the other thing is police comp time for the year, that's kind of been an issue. The salary is in there, but comp time always, it just puts a strain on the budget. And this way, the police was willing to use some of their public safety money to pay out their comp time. But this way, we can get it paid for and they not have to use their money, to do that.
What wall are you looking at?
All right, this is just my wish. This is not a necessity, but the wall between my office and what is called the records room, where they keep the file cabinets, there's a wall there. When they put that wall in, there was one person in the clerk treasurer office, and now there's two. And it's doable, but it's a little cramped, and also it's hard to have meetings. Like if someone comes in and wants to sit and talk, there's not space. You can have one chair besides the desks and everything else. So eliminating that wall would help open up the office. It would allow more conducive for meetings. It would make it a little more organized. We'd have a little more space. And also just from a standpoint, that wall was built and there's a light fixture that goes through the wall. And I just think that needs fixed as well. So removing that wall, and they would be removing all that light fixture that's through the wall and bringing it up to code, and maybe raising the ceiling and adding lights. So
But there's a doorway there now, right? You're just taking the rest of the wall out? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, there's a wall and a door,
Yeah.
and that whole wall would be removed. Yeah.
Did a lot of this come out of, CARES Act money?
I'm proposing that, that all of this would come from the CARES Act money. Yeah, but the wall removal is not, like I said, that's not a necessity. We can do without it. I wanted to make sure we used all the money, and that was something that it could be used for, to open up space and spread us out a little bit. So that's just a wish. The last thing on there, I didn't have a price list for. Richard is talking with some people for that. It's the SCADA. It would be a way that he could take care of things at the water plant remotely if an emergency came up. He would be able to identify problems and things like that. And so he's getting a price quote on that. But again, these are just wish lists, it's just wish things. And if the council finds it, has a better way to spend this money, I just don't want us to lose the money, or I want us to be able to utilize and get things for the town. So that's it. That's just for your consideration. And that's all I have.
Cody, can I ask you a question about your wall? Is your wall not up to code, or is it the lighting in the wall that's not up to code? Or do you not know?
I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
It definitely would fall under the CARES Act too, if you get a few people, I mean, in tight quarters, that wall is taken out. You can do that social distancing a lot better, so, yeah.
Do you wanna go ahead and get a firm price on that wall?
Well, yes, I had one quote that he was supposed to get to me by the end of the day, but it was just, that estimate came from him, but it's not in writing yet.
Okay. And is that including the lights too?
Yes.
Will a diet program help give you girls more room in there?
Oh, my Lord.
Dance.
Uh-oh.
That diet.
I'm sorry.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
Planning, BZA?
Yes, sir. We did have a meeting. It was short and sweet because the person who was going to be the agenda was a no-show. So there was really no reason to continue the meeting. So it was, we had a meeting, but then we canceled it. So
That was BZA.
that was BCA.
Planning didn't have
Planning
a meeting.
didn't happen. And that was last month. That's it.
Okay. Park Board? All right, Brad Falk.
Alright, I have two things tonight. I talked last meeting, I believe I gave you guys a quote on the Wallace Brothers, or the Wallace paving, that's 19,000. We have a smaller asphalt company here, Minor Asphalt, out of Reelsville. They're a little more itemized, the estimates are in your packets there. So the estimate's substantially smaller, but it's a little more itemized, smaller areas. But they can have a quicker turnaround than Wallace as far as getting in here. These are kind of more of the problematic areas. And that was really all I had on asphalt. I'm still trying to pull and get more quotes on the bigger areas or a town-wide thing, but as far as our crucial main areas, you know, that we might try to push for winter, these are these. If you want more of an itemized list from Wallace, then I will try to get that from them and get them to break that up so we can kind of compare it a little more. As far as asphalt, that's all I have.
We had a bid from Wallace on doing paving in Stardust Hill. What happened to that?
That was, unfortunately before my time of, trying to run this, so if they have one, I'm not aware of it. I can see if that is still an active bid.
I have a copy of those bids, but Stardust, a couple of roads there in Stardust Hills that need it quite badly.
Alrighty, well, I can, if you give me a copy of them coming up, I can,
ASAP, I had no idea you were pursuing that, and you did not have a copy of them.
yeah, that would all been the previous management, and so I'm just kinda now getting thrown in
Things
here.
have been lost and misplaced.
Yeah, so yeah, if you give me a copy of
That
them,
could
Don, I
happen in
will-
my office as well.
I know.
The other thing I've got on the agenda here is, moving ahead on that blower at the sewer plant. I actually don't have a copy myself, I gave it to Kelly, but, there's an itemized. Alright, so, the 71,627, that's like, all the contingencies, all the labor, overinflated price. Your actual breakdown is in the pages that follow that front page. And that's just, they're trying to move ahead on it. And that front price, that's not a guarantee we're gonna spend that much, that's just, we're not gonna spend more than that much, so.
It won't be more than.
Yeah, it won't be anything more than that 71 there on that front page. Everything's broke down, the actual Kaiser itself, the blower, is $38,950. And then everything's just, right after that, you have electrical parts and everything on the following pages, totaling of $9,948. And they overinflated it after that for just any contingencies or any labor costs or anything like that. So they're saying bottom price no more than 71.
I got copies of Wallace's bid for Stardust Hills.
Alrighty.
Hey, Brad, if we could, I'm a little confused on the Minor Asphalt and Wallace. I mean, Wallace has one for 19,007. Is that a bigger area than what Minor?
I didn't take control on the Minor. Richard took control on that. He found this company, they approached him, said, hey, if you guys have any issues, Whenever I contacted Wallace, I brought him down here, I was thinking, let's get the biggest bang for our buck. You know, I'm gonna show them everything that's an issue, you know, instead of bringing them down for a small section, you know, make it more worth their while, more worth our while. So theirs isn't itemized, but it's everything in the town as far as.
Minor says.
No, Wallace. That's
Oh,
the reason
okay.
why it's a bigger price. Now,
Okay.
it's not complete roads, but there's multiple sections of whole roads, you know, multiple sections, long sections of roads, and then any big water dig we did over the last year.
Right.
Where miner's like the major spots that we really need to touch up. And that's why I was touching back on that. I can get an itemized list from Wallace, and, you know, maybe compare these prices if you wanna do it that route. And, cause that is a big price jump, and it's hard to compare if we're really getting a deal or not, because the one I had done was, originally was 19,000 for a large area, and this is kind of the spot patch of a few majors. And I apologize for not having the other one itemized, but.
I would say, if you're gonna get this done this year, before they shut down the asphalt plants, you're gonna about have to have a special meeting.
And me and Larry talked about that on a few occasions. I was just here kind of to touch base, show that we're still trying to gain bids and gain progress on it. And, really it's been hard contacting and getting people to come down. I mean, we've called 6 or 7 different asphalt companies and tried to get them in, and some of them are real busy and hard to fit in this, you know, our schedules, and then there's some that just flat turn down work because they ain't got time. So I'm still trying to pull out, get us a handful of bids and trying to find our best dollar amount here for pavement, but.
Well, right now, that minor asphalt looks pretty good in covering the, streets that were the main concern, the 3,600 altogether.
Yeah, and that's
pretty good.
as far as the minor asphalt, that would be the Hicks flooring that cut out, which I propose that if we did go that money could be coming out of stormwater. It was, that cut in the road was for stormwater.
Right.
And then, numerous of the other ones here, 425 East and Cemetery Road, those were both water digs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could come out of water fund. I mean, we wouldn't all have to come out of pavement fund. It could be broken up for some of.
We have money in local road and street we haven't used this year.
Well, I'd like to move on it unless we need a special meeting to just go ahead and vote on, minor tonight. I mean.
Fine with you guys, if you guys want,
I
you would
make
do
a
that, or?
motion, you know, that we take minor and, you know, get them in there for the weather does change on us.
Go the same road as Wallace.
Huh?
He's going the same road as Wallace.
It looks like it. Holiday Inn, the 425 East Cemetery Road, the business barn, what is that, the bus barn road?
That's, Brown Avenue.
Okay.
It's the access road for the school. We had a substantial water leak there, had to cut up a portion of the road. And, yeah, they were just gonna continue out from the water leak to the bus barn gate, because there's quite a bit of rough patch there.
But Larry, aren't those the ones that we were mainly concerned about? Is what minor has listed, or are we missing something there?
I think I've pretty well covered all, other than Monon Avenue, you had an issue over there.
The road keeps breaking up there at the beginning of Monon, about to the culvert, so the beginning quarter section of it. And Wallace was gonna come in and widen that a hair as long as retopping it. So they was gonna take up all that. That's all kind of, stress cracking, coming apart, and we put quite a bit of dirt patch over that spot quite often throughout the year, so it's kind of one of them, it's an eventual, you know, gonna come apart. We need to address it at some point. It's not that we have to this year, it's just, we're trying to get, like I said, a bigger bang for our buck.
Yeah.
And is Minor taking care of the, apron on Main Street?
No, the only bid I've got back on the apron on Main Street is from Wallace, and that was a separate bid you had from Wallace for the 39 and change, I can't remember the exact.
13,797.
Yeah, and that's the only one. I reached out to a handful of other businesses, and I'm still working on that concrete bed there, but that is a, issue there with that concrete apron and section of sidewalk.
Okay, we have a, motion on the floor for minor asphalt. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd really like to have a motion on, the concrete approach and walk on Main Street. Do I have one for 39?
Yeah, I'll make a motion,
1797?
absolutely, yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, Larry, do we need to, you know, do something, what was the other one, south of Doe?
I think we can wait until spring on.
Okay.
They can
Yeah.
wait, right now, they're hard packed with gravel, and I can always go over them with some of our road tar. You know, next spring, I might, obviously, we put them on the list, but they can hold over winter.
And then maybe get Minor to do a bid on them as well.
And yes, we could have
We got
Minor come
Wallace,
back and, yeah.
Okay.
Also, I didn't have that on the agenda, but I wanted to address it while I was here. I know last time you wanted an update on the whirly gigs for Stardust Road. I do have them ordered, they're just on back order, they're being kinda slow, so I did wanna throw that out there while I was here.
What are they called?
I call them whirly gigs, they're attention getters, they spin on top of the stop signs and.
Yeah.
But, so, other than that, I think that's all I have tonight. Gary?
Back to Mr. Gutter's question, back in, when Wallace done the paving on the streets, he was supposed to do 5 streets in, Stardust. He only done 3. And the other 2 was resurfacing Stardust Way, from one end to the other, and, Lazy River Road from Stardust Way all the way around to the dead end. I got the bids right here.
Alrighty, I can look more into that, Gary. Like I said, I was out of the loop on that one, so I'll have to,
And I've got everything that he, did in town.
alright. Yeah, I'll, if you don't mind, I'll get that paperwork from you or a copy from it after the meeting. And then, like I said, I was out of the loop on that one. I just kinda stepped in this rain here, so.
Those 2 roads are bad.
Oh, I agree with you. I got quite a few roads I'd like to get completely done, but it's kinda picking my battles right now,
It's the
but,
money.
so, Dan, I seen you had a,
Yes, sir, Brad. I heard you say something about a culvert. Is that at Hicks Flooring?
yes, there
Where
was
that
a,
culvert was put in?
yeah, there was a bad culvert there. It was last year we put it in, well, beginning of this year. And, as far as our patcher, it's just not holding up. I patched it a couple times and it keeps settling out. So that was part of the bid there, to actually have somebody come in and roll it and bring it up, you know, and on the minor bid there, he's not just gonna do that one section of culvert, he's gonna do around the storm drain and everything, and kinda help with stormwater as well, so.
Cause I've been approached twice on that, and I drove over it twice today, and it is bad.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of semi-truck activity going right through there too. I don't know if it's allowed to, but they do, you know what I mean, so. Hopefully it's tough
Thank you.
enough.
Anything else before I?
Do I have a motion on this, second blower motor for the water treatment plant? Sewage plant? This is the second blower of 3. We replaced one of them earlier this year. What we will be doing is approving this now, and it won't be installed until February, March.
I think it was March.
Several weeks out.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
It's 18 to 20 weeks, so we can do it free.
Okay, new business. Sound system?
Yeah, you've got some quotes, I don't think that they're supposed to be here to answer any questions, but, I've given you, I think, 3 quotes in your packets. They're for, it's basically different amounts of things. The most expensive one is the one that includes wireless, mics, wireless lapel mics, basically, that we would clip on, as opposed to a microphone, sitting on the table. I know that was what some a breakdown of the services. It'd be new speakers, microphones. It would be new mixers, I guess, whatever those things are called. Also, it would be a cabinet, and all of that would be moved inside the office and locked doors. So it wouldn't just be sitting out in the town hall anymore. It would also include a camera that would record, and all of it would be controlled with I believe it's an iPad, which is included in the cost of this. They would come in, set it up, so basically you turn on the iPad and it'd have a series of buttons that you'd push a button and it would turn everything on in sequence and have everything ready to go, and it would broadcast to Facebook Live, like I said earlier, with the audio so that people could hear on Facebook Live as well as being able to hear in the town. So it's a breakdown of some different, it's just the amount of material. The biggest difference is the microphones. And again, I believe we could get this paid for with the CARES Act. I know we could, so.
Yeah.
That's just for the building here.
I'm sorry?
Is this audio just for the building here, security?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with the park?
No, this is nothing to do with the park. This is strictly for the town hall.
This is a sound system so that we don't have to yell.
So Dan can hear us.
Amen.
How much is the bid?
We have bids from
73 or 7539
75.
to 1446.
And it looks like. Just the clip-on lapel microphones are 3,800 for 10 of them.
Yes, and I believe if you didn't go with the clip-on microphones, if you just went with the stand microphones, it was the second one for 12,000.
Right, 14 versus 12, yeah. But I'm just wondering about how, it'd be okay for us to maybe have lapels, but then when we have people in the audience that wanna say something, how are they gonna pick it up, or do we get a mic for the?
This includes a microphone, a stand microphone for the
Okay.
podium, for anyone in the audience who would come up to speak.
So, a lot of folks we hear from right where they're sitting though too, you know what I mean, so.
Yeah, that wouldn't help that.
And then for the people with the handheld, like wireless mic. And, the first 7,500 and 12,000, I got one each of the handheld microphones, wireless, and the big one, I got two.
So the second two bids include video, the first one does not. From what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing, but there is no camera on it.
Well, which one?
On the first bid for 7539, there is no video service with that, from what I can see. So then it's
Well,
just,
there's a camcorder, but.
And on the video, it'll post right up and it won't be like, it'll be instant, right?
Yeah, it's my understanding, the video would be a camcorder,
Yeah.
and it would have a recording capability, so we could record it as well. But it would automatically, it somehow links into the iPad to where it would automatically, with the push of a button, it would automatically go to Facebook Live.
Hey Kelly, I just got a question. Does this have to be done by a certain time because of the CARES Act?
No.
No, okay, I just was wondering. Thank you.
Okay, you wanna table this until?
Yeah,
I would,
yeah.
so it started a little
We
more.
could.
And I believe, yeah, their phone number is on there, so
Okay.
if you wanna talk to him, he can answer your questions a lot more than I can.
And was there a name,
I believe his
you
name is
recall?
Dave,
I mean, that's okay if you don't.
yeah, I don't think I have it, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Just to back up a little bit, I missed this, project proposal from Sycamore. Does that entail the, new blower also?
That's,
The front price is 71.
Well, this is separate for Sycamore.
Now you received that one. And that front page there with the one I was saying that had all the contingencies, that should be everything together plus their wiggle room for if something were to come up or happen or.
Right. Would you ask Bill about this?
Yeah, I'll see more information on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I talked with Troy right before this meeting started, just to make sure that I was understanding the whole bid and everything right, and yeah, he said that 71 should be everything in it, plus their contingency plans, so.
Okay. Ted and Deborah Hawkins,
That would be me,
okay.
that's not here,
Who's,
so.
Would you come up here,
Okay,
please?
sure.
just a moment, back to this,
Okay.
thing, there's another one in here for Valley, $6,800 or something. On the second floor quotes. $10,000 and almost $7,000 in there.
You're looking at your,
It was the electrical parts that behind the Kaiser quote.
yeah, that's all covered on the front page here. Is that the word 71,000?
No.
No, the front page.
In the email.
It's all inclusive of all the pages.
17.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure. Apparently we don't have this. It says it's for electrical.
Was Sycamore gonna do the wiring the same as Valley Electric?
Valley Electric would be the parts and Sycamore's the engineering firm that's doing the work. I said the Valley would be all the parts, and then Sycamore's the actual firm that's doing the work.
Must be.
I don't see it. See, I think we need to get clarification on the bid. For it to have a cap.
Valley's furnished the parts and Sycamore's doing the electrical work, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
If you would, go ahead and get clarification on that for us.
Yeah, I can.
I think that's.
Is there a certain time, well, I'll see if I can get Bill in this week on Thursday or so, and then I'll either phone conference with you or I'll relay or something
Okay,
on that.
that'll be fine. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Deborah.
Okay, so I just have a claim that I would like to address. Do you have the information?
Yes.
The letter that I wrote about the, issue that we had on September 24th? So, I'm just asking for compensation of the plumber that had to come by that couldn't really find anything wrong, but did go ahead and roto-root the sewer out. And then later that evening, the pump truck came across the street to where the manhole was at and removed 2 huge truckloads of sewage from the manhole across the street from my house in the Lewis addition.
Okay.
And I called the plumber, made an appointment with him, then I turned around and called the city or called to the utilities company and asked if there was any issue and explained that we'd had an issue like this several years ago where the system had backed up. And so the plumber came and couldn't find anything, and I had to pay him when it actually was a problem up with the city.
Okay.
I can fill in more on the matter.
Okay.
I don't know when you called earlier in the day, which I don't work up here in the city hall, but,
It was about
she is correct. I did go there to that address on that evening. I received a call out about 8 PM on the emergency phone, in which I responded to it, and I did do about 2 truckloads worth of material. So she is, telling the truth on all that. As far as who she contacted before that, I don't know which number you called, if it was directly town hall, but I do remember the night. Everything she's saying is correct. That night, that time, and I still have it in my records on my phone where I can show you it, 8 PM where I got the call out, but.
Well, I noticed it that morning, it was about 9:30 or so, and then I called the plumber right after that, because we couldn't use the only bathroom that we had, so it had to be, I called the plumber, and then I called city hall, or city utilities, and talked to, I usually write the name down, but I didn't do that, so I talked to a woman on that day, on September the 24th.
No, I didn't have a work order or anything during the day, it was just I got an emergency call in the evening and came up.
It was our neighbor across the street is the one who called, yeah.
81, I believe was that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. In which I would just suggest any future issues, on the emergency number, it's 765-721-7200. Any sewer issues, you call that number, it's gonna come directly to me, and I will make that a high priority. Cause, any type of sewer issue, I try to, even if it's just, even if it is on your side, I still wanna check my system in the area, so. Yeah, if there's any future issues, cut the middleman and just call me direct. I can handle the paperwork as far as.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Right, for 200?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to pay the 200.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And thank you. I walk town a lot, once or twice a week, and I always see the police. There's always a presence in Cloverdale, and it's great. Thank you very much. And remember, wear your mask. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we discussed a snowplow for the 2019 truck. I talked with Kent Goldman about the truck that was in question, and he directed me to JTN Services in Greencastle. Said that's where they would get a snowplow from, and I have a quote for $58.50 for a snowplow for that truck. Is there any discussion?
No, it's a pretty good price, and then we're getting a discount on top of it.
For no plow, right?
That's for a new plow for the 2019 truck.
And it's 8'6".
Is there currently any kind of hazard lighting on that truck?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I had a quote of an 8 6" blade.
That's
Sound
great. I wouldn't do no smaller than 8.
Yeah.
8 foot's nice.
Yep,
Okay, they went bigger And I thought it was gonna be too big to go down the street and drive.
No, by the time you turn, like Jay's saying, by the time you, or Greg's saying, by the time you turn it, I mean, that's perfect, 8 foot.
It'll get the width of the
perfect.
truck and that'll be about it.
I was gonna say, cause we do have a truck down there that's got a 7 foot blade, and by the time you turn it, I mean, you gotta make 3 passes down one road, and, yeah, it's,
8
8
foot
foot's
6 is
perfect.
all, 8 foot 6 is all right then.
yes, yes.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
No.
If you wanna do this, we have money for it in a local road and street, but we will need next month to do a transfer resolution. We don't have an appropriation account for our capital asset. So
Okay.
we would just need to move the money from where it's at to a capital asset account, and I can have that for you next month.
Okay,
So that motion, we go.
okay, do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you wanna wait until next month to order that, or go ahead and get it ordered?
I would say get it ordered, cause it's probably gonna take a while to get here.
I can order it if you wish.
It's the season.
Yes. Okay, server and computer system.
Rick Lambert from the police department and myself and Rebecca Kelly is the deputy. We've met with a couple different companies, EAS and 12 Point, looking at our computer system, the security of it, what we have, and what's needed. And we've been talking with Steve as well, and Larry met with Endeavor prior to me coming on board. The company that the three of us, Rick, Rebecca, and myself, liked the most was EAS. We have service with them right now. We've got a service agreement, and they provide some of the things for us. The problem is, in the past, we've had all three of those companies doing things for us. And so when a problem arose, one company would come in and they do some kind of a rig to get us up and running over other people's things, and then that would work temporarily, and then something else would happen and another company would be called, and so everything's just kind of not as efficient as it should be, and no one's really sure what we have and what is needed still. We know there are some new things. So, yeah, the company we like is EAS. We already have stuff with them. They are more expensive than 12 Point, but I will say the reason why we like EAS is the customer service is almost immediate. We've had some issues with 12 Point, and he even told us when he was here that if an issue arose, it would be at least 1 day before he could get to us, possibly 2. And with the police department and the nature of the business of the town hall, you know, having our system down for 1 day is bad enough, let alone 2 days. We have had experience with EAS where we've had an issue, we've called, and a lot of times they fix it remotely over the phone, and it's fixed within, you know, minutes. So that's the reason why we like them.
Is EAS not the current provider for the dispatch?
That's 12 Point.
I'm not asking for a whole server or anything right now, but the next step with EAS would be to come in and they would charge us $1,000 to look through our whole system, to basically see, you know, to run the network, to see what we have, to see where we're deficient, see what we need for upgrades, see what we need for security, and from there, then they would give us a quote, which, you know, it would certainly bring to the board. But all I'm asking right now is for that $1,000 to have them take a look at the system, but I don't wanna spend that $1,000 if we're not serious about going forward with this company.
We've had our concerns about security and doing the server all over again and building it up for what.
And I think at this
now.
point in time, we need to make sure our
Yes.
security is up to par, so
Right.
I would motion for the $1,000 for them to come in
No.
immediately.
And I'll
Steve
second
will
it.
stay on 12 Point, is that correct?
No, actually, we'll all merge in with
And they
EAS.
all
We've
in
met
one.
with them and they've kind of reassured me in a lot of areas that we had concerns in.
Okay.
Well, namely, we'll have access to our own system now, too, so.
So you won't be losing your printer.
Won't be losing, won't be losing my printer,
Okay.
and actually, they've got me remote from my truck, so I can actually VPN now to the system, which I haven't been able to, so.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the expenditure?
Yeah,
Oh.
Gary motion, I second.
Okay, sorry. All in favor?
Aye. It's all right, you'll be here at the next meeting.
What's that?
You'll be at the next meeting.
Sir, do you wanna go ahead? I didn't write your name down, so.
Oh, okay. I'm Greg Dewson, and, I don't wanna make it sound like I'm fussy, but, about a year ago, I met with your town manager, that's why I was discussing hooking up to Cloverdale water. I have 13 acres here, just south of where it ends in that housing addition there. So it's basically like a stone's throw across 42 to where my property is. And I talked to, I think his name was Wayne, and he told me it would be like $10,000 to $12,000. I said, okay, could probably do that. Anyway, I talked to the neighbors down there, and they all like, oh, I don't want to hook up. So I said, no, I'm prepared to go and do this alone. And then COVID hit, and then I kept calling his number and leaving messages, and I finally came down here, I think it was April or something, they said that he had been released. And so, talking to the ladies behind the glass partition, and they said, well, I'll have Richard call you, or this and this and this, and then she calls me back and says, well, the town attorney's gotta look at it, or the engineers, and now they're saying that has to have a special permit just for it to go underneath 42, and they're talking like $60,000. So my question is,
How can you get some water?
yeah, my wife does not want well water.
Where's your house located at?
I don't have a house yet, I have a pole barn. As you go down 42, and where it zigs, right there, those 3 houses there on the south side of the road, there's a pole barn, and that's my property back in there, the 13 acres.
So you're the,
Between Shortcut Road and the Cloverdale Christian Church.
Okay.
And I called as far as getting on the agenda, and they told me, well, Richard would call me. You know,
Okay.
he's never called me. So, I don't, $60,000 I think is a little extreme.
What kind of quotes were you given? What kind of quotes were you given?
Wayne gave me a quote of like $10,000 to $12,000. And he was talking like he just zig it along, and at the end, put a hydrant, so I could have a hydrant there on my property too, is what he was telling me. I said, okay, that'd be cool, but But where it ends right there on 42, past that housing addition, the guy on the right there, I talked to him, he says, yeah, I got good water pressure, the water's good and everything else, but, the people on the other side of the road, they don't wanna hook up, but, I would like to hook up.
okay, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but Steve Barnes used to live in the pole barn across the street from where he's
Barnes,
talking. And it does stop right there at the beginning of his property, that's where that line stops. But we have to continue it, that, basically just that zigzag, the front side of Barnes' old property and that little zigzag. And he's that first property right there as you're exiting that second.
Left.
Yeah, that, I think it's a brown and red.
I mean, is there a possibility just to go between the 2 houses there on the end and just cut it through there, like an easement through their yards? Would that be forbidden?
Then you'd be having to get right away and easements from the property owners, and that's,
So,
I mean, if we,
expensive.
yeah, if we could stay in state right away, it'd be better, but either way, we'd still, I think the big price you're discussing here is the actual road permit or state permit, to go under the highway. And I'm not sure what, that permit cost is, or what I would suggest we bore under the road and not actually dig it up, but.
right.
And honestly, if he's the only one tying in, it could be possibly a full bore of the whole thing and not actually putting it in line. The only downside to that is if we don't do a substantial size line, then we can't grow as far as customer base.
Is that something you could talk to UMAC about?
I can discuss it with you, Mac and Richard both. I'm sure I can get Ronnie down here to look at it and kind of get some ballpark figures on our side to
Right.
see what it costs us.
Right, because I'm just kind of in limbo now. We're looking to eventually put a house out there, and so, that's,
Okay, we'll get you some numbers and go from there.
okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is that the, second and third turns are on 42? That we're talking about?
Yes.
Between those two.
Well,
First one's there on Crawford Road.
right,
Next two is what we're talking about.
you actually go around those and he's on the left.
Can't miss it, it's got a Seahawk mailbox in front.
But that would be a job probably UMAC would have to do for us.
Yeah, we couldn't do it, state highway.
Right. But, we will get you some numbers and
All right.
hopefully within a month.
Yeah, I'll try to get it relatively quick. I know my schedule's more tight, but I'll try to figure it in as quick as I can.
All right, well, tell Richard I'm still waiting on his phone.
Okay, sir?
We're not here today. All right, we got removed.
Got some papers that, don't know how to distribute.
So this has to do with the sewage bill at Cloverdale McDonald's. It's kind of an ongoing saga back to 1917. All of a sudden our water usage started to go up. We couldn't figure out what it was. Kept going up, went up to almost 160,000 gallons at its peak. And we finally figured out that what had happened is because of the silt. It's not silt, there's like a silica dust in the water supply. Doesn't really affect anybody, doesn't hurt anybody. But inside of McDonald's, we've got a circulated water line on the hot water line to be able to keep the faucets hot all the time. What happened was eventually the underground plumbing eroded at the joints, and we had an underground leak from April of 17 until March of 19. We finally figured it out because we were doing our remodel, and when they tore down the wall, there was water spurting out of the floor. So we figured out, guess what? We figured out where our water problem is. So really, for that entire time, we were leaking water into the subsoils. And when we calculated out the amount of sewer that we paid over that time, it was almost 1 million gallons more, 2 million gallons that we paid sewer on that was leaking into the subsoil. So what I'm asking for, I mean, it's a substantial amount of money. Ends up being $18,000 that we paid in excess sewer bills over that period of time. I've got a chart, explanation of how we figured it out, showing where the water usage has changed back in April of 19 when we finally fixed it. Wayne Galloway said, well, prove to me you fixed something. So that was the invoice, that's the second page. That was the cost of us fixing the water leak because we had to dig down, find the water leak, and then switch from underground plumbing to overhead plumbing. Again, I'm not asking for that, not asking for the water. I'm just asking for consideration of the excess sewer charges that we experienced over that 24-month period of time. We calculated it two different ways. One was gallons per customer, because we thought, well, if our volume fluctuated, we'd use more water. We own a few McDonald's, and what we figured out is we go through a lot more water at Cloverdale because a lot more toilets get flushed than they do at Greencastle. So we thought, well, it's calculated on gallons per customer. That's where it came up with $1.9 million. And then I thought, well, let's just do it on the average to make sure it's fair. And if we just did it on average, it's almost 2,003 gallons extra. So it would seem that the fairest calculation is gallons per customer, just to make sure that we are comparing apples to apples. So what I'm asking for is consideration of the $1.9 million of sewage that we paid for, that 1.9 million gallons of sewage that we paid for that we really didn't use.
Okay. Samantha, you have some knowledge of this?
We've talked back and forth. We talked back in July, and he provided documentation that I sent out in an email. And then he called again early fall, late summer, early fall, and the information was again submitted, but, I mean, that's all I really know, is what he just told you with this, probably the same packet of information that,
Would it be possible for us to run those numbers, see if we agree with them? Council have any discussion there?
No, that's a good idea, if we can run it alongside what he has. and-
So, we go back 3 years, right, in the records?
I believe so.
I'm not sure, yeah, I think we can get to 17, but I'm not sure.
If we're consistent with his numbers, you know,
I mean, if we compared his leak time to his current time, but I don't know if we could get before the estimated leak just because of how far back our system.
We can provide bills back 10 years if you need them.
Yeah.
Beauty of the internet and photocopying.
But give us a month,
Okay.
and, we'll see if we can do something for you.
Do you wanna contact me? You want me to come back to the meeting? How do you wanna work?
Can the office contact it?
Yeah, Kelly and Sam has my contact information.
Okay.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, old business. Town manager job description? Is there any questions or comments on the updated job description?
I just wanted to comment on the town manager, under the form directives and work approved by town council. There's a highlighted area that says, will town manager affect treasurer perform this task? So, my recommendation would not to have Kelly do those. Any work with the grants, that'd be a duty of the town manager, and that's traditionally kind of how most municipalities function, if there is a town manager there in place. They kind of help, provide that vision and direction for the community in terms of attaining grants and hopefully bringing in some extra revenue sources into the community. So that was my only.
And that was just left because we weren't sure at the time how we were gonna handle it, so.
Any other discussion?
No.
Do we want to accept this as our job description?
Yeah, with the change being town manager.
Instruct the treasurer to perform the task.
And I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And,
I'll get these modified.
okay. Salary. Does anyone have any ideas on salary?
Well, I think we've discussed before, it's gonna be a matter of, the applicant themselves, but the range was, well, I know we've talked anywhere from 40 to 60, but, again, I think it depends on who's selected, with the experience they may have, what they can bring to the town, what they offer as a town manager. You get what you pay for. So maybe, 60 if they're very well qualified and they can really help our vision as a town council, improve things that,
Start at 50, and if they prove out well, boost them up to.
Well, my thoughts are do a range of 49,000 to 53,000 as a beginning.
Yeah.
And,
We'd have to change that, probably have to change that bracket in the ordinance.
yes, well, we could do a job or do a ordinance after we actually hire the person.
Yeah, and, I think right now we have, it's 47,250 allocated for the town manager role, or 48.
It was 48,
Was it
yeah,
48?
48 for the town manager, and then we had set aside some of the building inspector salary as well,
Yeah.
if needed.
So potentially, yes, we could amend the, salary ordinance and revise it. Honestly, the whole salary ordinance needs.
Well, inspector money could go for part of that.
Yes.
Okay. We don't need a motion on that presently, do we? Recruiting strategy.
So, Indiana Association of Cities and Towns, IAC, they have a website that potentially the job could be posted. I think that would be one good source, for attracting applicants. In addition, there is a, Association of Town Managers, that is affiliated with IAC. Town could potentially reach out to them, post a position with them, and hopefully attract some attention. Additionally, there is, of course, LinkedIn Jobs, ZipRecruiter. I know, the Marshal has had, success with, I think, Indeed. So those are definitely some good options as well.
Is there a charge for the, IAC?
So generally there is a charge, but that's for membership. I'm not sure if they would,
If you were a member, it might be free.
yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure if they would, assess any kind of fee for posting the job. The other good thing is hopefully people who work in municipal government, it'll be communicated through those channels.
How much is Indeed? Steve, you familiar
We
with that?
ran an ad, it was like minimal, it was $20-30, it seemed like, but we, for a, and,
The other good thing I'll tell you is, working with some of the people that we've all been working with here in the last few months, West Central, Commonwealth Engineering, they know a lot of people across the state who potentially would, be able to kind of get the word out too, I guess. So that's another option if you take.
That'd be helpful. Yeah, those folks, yeah.
But if you guys are ready to start, advertising this position, we can get it going.
I think we do need to get it started.
Do you do an extensive background check on the managers, town managers?
There will be.
Cause we experienced in North Vernon, Country Squire Lakes, a very bad town manager, or a Fort CSL. Yeah, he committed everything from RICO on, so, to, what is it that you call it, where you can't say anything, especially on the board, you couldn't say anything and to anybody about what he was doing, and it was a husband and wife deal, David and Sandy Maynard. So if that name ever pops up, he's a crook.
Well, the Commonwealth might help us with that too. Are they on the background check through the, how to run it by, or Steve, now?
Yeah, then we probably got some resources there for background check.
Okay.
I think then, I guess in recruiting, those are, I guess, the options that I've kind of come up with.
Could you do something with IAC for us?
Oh, sure, I'll reach out to them.
You wanna do something like that right now? I mean,
I can at least make contact and see if they're, how that process would work, if they require you to be a member. The town is not currently a member of IAC, but,
do you wanna do Indeed in the meantime too? Pretty easy to sign up, isn't it?
oh yeah.
It's just $20-30.
The last time we did it, we run ads for a certain period of time, they charge you so much per ad, and they guarantee it'll reach so many people, and I think the last vacancy we had 70 or 80 some applicants, so.
Okay, do we need a motion on that, or?
Yeah, I guess if we could just go ahead and get a motion to approve the posting of the job.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, town website. We basically talked about going with a company in Ohio on the website last month.
Yeah, there was, the council is considering, and actually since then, Kelly, I think she kind of touched on it earlier, with that, CARES Act down, very well can submit this as part of that for reimbursement. Because of the improvements that will be made to the website, ideally it will keep people from potentially having to leave their homes amidst this pandemic. So, that isn't a benefit. So if the town can do that, let's definitely do that. Now, I've looked locally and I talked to, this was back in, I think, May, talked to, the gentleman down here at the shirt place.
Dana.
Dana, yes, sorry, I think of his name. And he was interested in working with the town at that point, but, because of the other work that he's doing, he didn't know if he would have the time. So I started kind of looking around. I've, been in contact with this Eric Kersey. I really thought his pricing was about as good as what I've seen. Very knowledgeable, very friendly to work with. Of course, he lives in Ohio, so pictures, videos, things of the town would have to be done by someone here. I will do that if the town needs me to do that, and it's just because I want so badly to see this town success. So I love helping in any way I can, and I will do that if I need to. But his website pricing I thought was very reasonable. He doesn't, with his clients, he explained to me that he doesn't kind of negotiate a settled price and then get into it and then say, oh, well, we're gonna have to charge you this, this, and this. It's just a flat rate. He has 3 options. And I've talked to I talked to the folks up at Soul Harvest. They have for our town, they have a pretty extensive website. I mean, it's pretty in-depth. I asked them kind of what they were, what they did with theirs and who they worked with. They actually worked with, I think, a company from Europe in building their site. So, Ohio, I think, would be a little easier and closer to work with. But, I spoke with the person from Full Harvest about what they had spent on their website. These prices were extremely fair, very reasonably priced. So, of course, the introductory package, the $19.95, that includes, I believe it was 7 pages, personalized pages of the website. The middle of the road is 20 different pages. And then finally, I guess the top of the line was 50 pages. And those are all individual pages. They're all going to be built. Now, at this point in time, Cloverdale probably doesn't have the need for 50 different pages. You don't have enough stuff going on in the community to warrant it. But over time, assuming things continue to grow, like the council's actively pursuing, you will. So it may be good why there is this time where you can get reimbursement to do maybe the middle of the road package and grow it as the town grows. But, I mean, that's totally within the discretion of the council. Those are just some thoughts. And if you would be interested if you'd be interested in getting some additional quotes, we definitely can do that as well.
Does he maintain the page, or is it just a one and done?
So what he does is, well, he does a little bit of everything. It's depends on what the town would like for him to do. He can maintain it, update it as frequently as the town would like, or he will train someone here in the community to do it for you. So, that would be an added benefit. You wouldn't necessarily have to have that ongoing relationship with someone out of state. He can build it, train, and then someone here locally can be the one to update it with pictures, information, meeting agendas, minutes. That was a big need. And there's a lot that can be done, and, so that would be my recommendation to council.
I think we do need someone who will maintain it, especially with keeping it up to date, but especially with the online bill pay. We're gonna need someone who has a working knowledge of how those things work, so to make sure that that's always up and running. If there should be a problem, that can be taken care of immediately.
On the second page in your agenda, you did include a cost for the maintenance package. I will say there's a couple things that I want to mention. It says here, they'll do monthly security audits, website backups, monitoring, 6 hours of web maintenance, new content optimization, and site edits for the 12-month contract, a reduced hourly rate for additional website edits. So for $100 a month, he will maintain the website for the town and do those additional things. So that, I guess, is really, that's pretty reasonable. We pay $13 for Netflix every month, and it's, you're getting someone who's working specifically for you. So if that's something that would be, just for your knowledge, I guess, in making your decision, that's how much he would charge for maintaining it. He does offer additional packages. I'm not sure if council would be interested in those, but those include various things. And I'm talking out of my league here, but things that he can do online to attract people to the town's website. He explained it to me, went completely over my head. But,
yeah, that attract package, he's got spy on 5 competitors. That make ours more attractive, I guess.
Yeah.
It's pretty slick.
So maybe when people type in Brazil, in Google,
They'll
they'll
come
come
close
up
to
first.
Right.
So with the websites, you guys also have an opportunity to actually generate revenue, maybe not the initial time you put the website down, but every town or every business you have in town can pay an advertisement fee, which you guys could put some of that towards paying the website back, and then also put some money back into the town, so that way you can actually, over time, possibly even reduce some of your other expenses, either to your, us as a community, and use some of that revenue over time. And then if you wanna grow, like Daniel was saying, go from the medium package, because you're still building the community, and then go to the large package, those businesses, I guarantee you, they wanna bring revenue in, start bringing people in, they'll pay a little bit more, and the guy website be paid for, and you guys will be able to drive in revenue, so it's a good start.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I think we've been talking about this for months now, and I know it started back when you were gonna try to take it on last year or something, and
Yeah.
Dana was gonna do it, he's busy.
I'll
It
say,
seems pretty reasonable.
the other thing I'll tell you is, and this person will work in conjunction with, like Brady from Commonwealth with our ADA plan. Part of that is we have to provide our grievance procedures, to the community and make it, well known how, if potentially there was a grievance, how they would go about filing that grievance.
Process, yeah.
That's another part of why it's gonna be very crucial to have an updated website that's very professional, not just for attracting businesses, but that's a big part of it, but also because legally, there are some things that we
True.
are responsible for doing that have not been done over the last few years that need to be done.
Do I have a motion to do the $39.95?
I make a motion that we do the $39.95 and $100 maintenance, which is, what is that, the second page?
Yes.
It's the maintain package.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will contact Eric. We'll get some kind of agreement. I'm sure he'll get something over. We'll get that executed and get him developing, doing what he does.
And tying it back into the job posting, and if we could get IAC and all of them linked into our website, right?
Yes.
Or they can link into IAC from our website, that kind of thing.
Potentially, it's probably gonna be a few months for him
Oh,
to
yeah.
build it all.
Right.
And I'm guessing the town manager role will be filled by then, but in the future, when the town has job postings, we can post them directly to the site.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Any more discussion? Parking signs. What we have before us, is that what Gary had?
Yes, at the last meeting, Gary had presented that, and Brad was, gonna get some other quotes, and so it was just unfinished.
Okay.
And there wasn't even a motion, and there wasn't even discussion as to whether you wanted them or not. There
Well,
was no motions made.
I don't think we've even made a motion yet to restrict parking on Main Street.
No, that's why it was just still on the agenda, because it was not resolved last time.
Brad, do you recall your numbers?
I feel like it was about, I don't even remember what Gary's number was, but I'm thinking it was about half. As far as, and which I know I called him verbally, told you, and my quote was verbal. I did call Todd Zellers, the salesman from Costello, to try to get him to send me that quote on paper today, but he didn't make it. I will have it first thing in the morning.
Okay.
You know, he promised me he'd let at least have it in the morning, but.
Did he tell you what it was?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I know I called Larry and told him, and I told Kelly, but I can't remember what it was right off the top of my head.
Seemed like it was what, $12 a sign?
Something like that, I
I
wanna say.
don't know for sure, but
Yeah, I know it was a reasonable price, but I'll have that sheet tomorrow, I should, in which I can email it to everyone if they need that, or put copies in your mailbox. I apologize, I meant to have it today, but that was something I didn't get. But on that end, it wasn't me, it was, I called and bugged him and, you know, like, hey, you know, I ordered that stuff for the stop signs and I never got my quote paper in my mailbox, and, you know, and so he's been busy with that, and you know, that's where he informed me that one stuff was on back order and that he was working on the quote, but he didn't send it to me, he just gave me the verbal.
How many signs was it?
I believe it was a dozen is what he wanted, wasn't it?
I suggest we table this to the next meeting till we get more quotes.
do we wanna discuss, do we really wanna make that a 2-hour parking area? I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to get signs as 2-hour parking, 8:30 AM to 5:30 PM.
Well, I want a motion on the street.
On what?
On the street, what area?
Oh, from, the old end up to the, Columbia Street.
Okay, do I have a second? This will be Monday through Saturday?
Well, this sign here says,
Monday through Friday was.
8:30 to 5:30, that takes care of every day. Second page. In Cloverdale colors.
It doesn't say any day of the
Right.
week.
I have a second?
Do we have, any discussion from our, people in the audience about this? Is that appropriate or not?
Is there off-street parking available for folks that are actually working in the area that need to be able to stay longer? Are there other areas to park?
Somewhat. Done.
Most days of the week, it's not, generally speaking, a problem. But Saturdays, especially Saturday mornings, with the auction going on, it is a major problem, north of Market Street on Main Street, that there just virtually is no parking available, other than participants going to the auction. And I certainly think that this is, if we wanna do anything with Main Street, to have occupancy in the buildings potentially up and down Main Street, that 2-hour limit would give people plenty of opportunity to do shopping or get a haircut or whatever else there is. And certainly the other end of Market Street going south, with people going to H&R Block and hardware and the barber shop and so forth, the 2-hour parking is a very reasonable time period, but the auction is a 4 or 5 hour time period, and if they buy stuff, they're there until 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon loading up their vehicles. So it's not fair to the other business people to have the occupancy of the parking dominated by one business and eliminating the opportunity for the other potential businesses in the area. So I would encourage council to pass the issue, and would certainly alleviate a problem that we have, especially have on Saturday mornings.
Well, would it be okay to do it for just Saturdays only, 2-hour parking? I mean, I understand where you're
I think
coming from.
potentially down the line,
Yeah.
it would be better to do it Saturday through Saturday, because then it is a problem right now that we're addressing that is primarily on Saturday. But there's other times that other businesses, H&R Block as an example, when they're in season, the tax season, that the barber shop and the hardware store and other facilities there at the south of Market Street suffer without available parking, limited to a couple of hours.
This is just kind of a general, I know that kind of behind the auction, they took down that building. Is that gonna be additional parking?
I'm wondering if it's not gonna be additional parking, I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be nice if it was, but behind them as well, there's a 20-car parking area also. I don't know if that's for the medical building. It is?
Mhm.
That right behind?
Yes.
It is for the medical building, but I think anyone can use it.
Yeah, on a Saturday, I
On a
don't think
Saturday,
the
yeah.
medical building's open anyway.
That's already full. That's already.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is, I agree, Don, I've come down here Saturdays and there's a lot of cars down there. We haven't got any complaints to the police department on it as of yet. And when you're talking about all these signs, we haven't had complaints, other than you and I talked about it. When you put these signs up, what's the end result of the signs? You know, 2-hour parking, when it comes down to enforcement action going, I mean, weekends are some of our busiest times, and I can guarantee you that domestics, we don't have a meter maid. Or maiden, or whatever you call it. But, you know, to actually enforce it, it may be because we're taking umpteen calls on the weekends, domestics and things of that nature. And so it's gonna be very low on the priority scale. So if you have if you have the belief that we're gonna put these signs up and all of a sudden we're gonna be patrolling up down the street, writing tickets to everybody, number one, that's not a good thing to do. Cause like I said, we're doing about 70% warning to 25 or 30% ticket. So I'm just trying to keep it real on, Adam.
And if we're not enforcing it, then we're wasting our efforts.
Well, I mean, it's not that we won't enforce it. Sometimes putting the signs up, honest people will say, hey, 2 hours, I gotta move my car, and I get that part. So it's but that's why I'm asking what the outcome, what we're wanting out of this.
I think the proof of the pudding is in the 10-minute limit that was put up with the signs that were put up at the, for the post office. That it was a major problem. The same parking issue was a problem for the post office. And when they put up the signs, 10-minute limit, boom, that problem was solved for the post office. And so people could get in and out of the post office. So I think the majority of people would say, whoops, I can get a ticket here, I've got to park someplace else.
But it's easier, I think, to enforce a 10-minute rule.
Well, a lot
from
of folks
a
don't
law
wanna hang
enforcement.
out at the
The
post office.
you're dropping
Let me tell you, here's how those things really work. Everybody's for 'em until it's them that parks there too long and they get a ticket, then they get really upset about it.
Well, I wanna add, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but say I'm parking in a spot, which everybody here pretty much knows my white truck. Now, say I'm sitting in a spot, you've seen my truck sitting there for an hour and a half, I walk out of the auction house, moved up 3 spots, therefore it's a new 2 hours.
Technically, that wouldn't be a violation.
Right.
Yeah, cause then it's a new 2 hours, and see, I'm still taking up a spot on the side of the street. So if everybody displays musical parking spots, I mean, it's not really accomplishing anything.
Adam's got
And that's what I was gonna refer to, they do that, when they implemented the 2-hour parking at the courthouse, they incorporated the inner circle too, so the lady walks around and does that, and all the people do is every hour and 50 minutes go out and move their cars, and they correlate with each other and be like, now I'm moving from here to there. And on the other turn, to enforce that, you gotta have parking spots numbered, there's a calibration machine that you enter it's very time consuming. Because the machine calibrates the time and allows you to know when to go back and check for that parking. I mean, there's more to it than just putting up a sign and expecting it to be enforced.
I will say that living in Greencastle, I'm sorry, I don't live in Cloverdale, but living in Greencastle, since they've done that and they've started reinforcing it, I can actually go to the bank downtown now and I can stop and shop downtown. Now, maybe it's because of the enforcement activity, but that's also why I asked about additional parking, because Greencastle also built extra parking, so that there was extra parking. But you can actually shop downtown Greencastle now, where you really couldn't before. So, I mean, what he's saying about the fact that if we're looking for a way to get businesses to come downtown Cloverdale, they're gonna have to feel pretty good that they're gonna be able to have their patrons have a place to park.
I know one of the things, Donna, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong too, there was a little bit of discussion about the Main Street property back there, whether that, I think Renee had gotten a hold of me and was talking about whether they could level that, make that into some parking back in there. On the other side of Grant Market. So I don't know if that's some potential too for some more.
Main Street area? Well, there's parking back there, available back there now, but,
They talk about whether they can take that hump out, back there, and make it more level.
Where the old tracks were?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's something they're looking at or not. They approached me about that a while back.
they are looking at it.
Brad, you had something?
Steve took care of it.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion, no second. It's a dead issue. If you want, you can bring it up again at a later time.
Dead issue now.
Is there any comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've heard, quite a few discussions over the buildings on the north end of Main Street. What's in the offing there?
You mean on the east side?
Yes, sir.
We really don't know. It looks like Pizza Niche is getting ready to open.
Yeah.
We no longer are building inspectors, so it's up to the county. We still do violations, And, we can do a violation on them if they don't do something soon.
Well, it's been
Mhm.
over 2 years, I mean, and that is really hurting the outlook for downtown Cloverdale.
I think it's gonna be crucial to have a town manager who can be that point of contact for the community.
Yeah.
Right now, there's really no one in that role, and so, once that person is chosen, I think having a dialogue with people who own those properties will be easier, once that person's selected. But yes, the town does have authority to cite those business owners for.
But if dialogue doesn't work, are you gonna start fining them or what?
That's something the council can decide to do, most definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? And we have no one online, do we? Asking questions?
Phone died.
Okay.
Right during the, sign conversation, so.
All righty. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.